Hello and welcome to the daily cricket show, Cricket Happenings. Well, on this daily cricket show, yesterday, as you know, Asad Shafiq, the captain and the vice captain of the Pakistan cricket team, really chiseled a good partnership, and they um, staved off defeat at one point of time, and then finally were marching towards the target today. But as I said yesterday, it was very essential that these two batsmen, Asad Shafiq and Sarfraz Ahmed, went all the way down to the end of the match. If at all Pakistan had to nurture hopes of winning that Test match, well, they were doing it to a certain extent in the morning session, but then finally, when both the wickets were gone, it was all over as Pakistan totally crumbled, and the Sri Lankan off spinner Dilruwan Perera took a 5 wicket bag to plunge the Pakistanis to defeat in the second Test match. They lost the match by 68 runs, and Sri Lanka won the two Test series 2-0, and they also became the first country or the first team to defeat Pakistan in the United Arab Emirates. As you know, it's a so-called home ground for Pakistan after the international matches are not played in Pakistan. So I'll be talking about that game. So finally, Sri Lanka would be very happy with this result because they suffered a drubbing against India at home, and now they have come back and hit. And it also shows that the absence of two stalwarts who have just retired. And as I said, this was known as the Rebuilder Test Series because both the teams were rebuilding. Sri Lanka have already started rebuilding the process, but Pakistan had just started the process of rebuilding. And this Rebuilder Test Series was won by Sri Lanka 2-0, and congratulations to them. Well, the other the other match is between India and Australia. It was the second T20 match, and in the second T20 match, that left arm pace bowler, Jason Behrendorff, of whom one could not just get a glimpse on the first match, as you know, as the match was a truncated affair, but here David Warner, the captain, gave him a free hand and allowed him to bowl his full quota of overs throughout, and he was the one who shaved the top half of the Indian order, claiming the wickets of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and few other. The top half of the batting was totally shaved off by Jason Behrendorff with a beautiful angle with his left arm pace bowling and pace and swing, and he had the better of the Indian batsmen. And after that, the Indians were restricted, and then finally Australia, even though they lost their openers pretty quickly, Travis Head and Moises Henriques played very well to ensure that Australia kept the T20 series alive with this victory by 8 wickets. And finally, the focus will be shifting on to the final T20, which is coming up. Whoever wins the final T20 takes the T20 series. So, but first, as I said, as I promised, now first we will head towards the Sri Lanka versus Pakistan match, where history was made today as Sri Lanka became the first country to defeat the Pakistanis in a Test series in the United Arab Emirates. And looking at it, as I said, Asad Shafiq and Sarfraz Ahmed started the day in very cautious fashion, cautious way. They were not in any hurry, and which was but to be understood with the whole one full day remaining. And they really bided their time at the crease. But then finally, it all started with when the score reached 200, and after a very good partnership. I mean, as you know, this was a great partnership that Sarfraz Ahmed and Asad Shafiq put because the score almost like 180 odd runs, 78 or 75 odd runs, which was put by this pair. And then finally it came to a halt today when the first wicket. Now this was something that probably the Pakistan captain Sarfraz Ahmed could have eschewed this stroke, but instead he went for the sweep stroke against the off spin of Dilruwan Perera, paid the penalty. Pradeep took the catch, and that was a big wicket for the Pakistanis as Sarfraz Ahmed was gone for 68 with 5 boundaries. After that, Mohammad Amir came in, but he was a goner just after making only 4 runs as Perera got him LBW, and Perera was really getting in there. And then we had 14 runs added between Yasir Shah and Asad Shafiq. It also enabled Asad Shafiq to get to his century, which was good to see. But it was very essential for Asad Shafiq to stay the distance. It didn't happen because Yasir Shah left his crease to actually have a go at Herat, and he was stumped for 5. And then Wahab Riaz was the next to go. Got Chandimal bowled Rangana Herat for 1, leaving Asad Shafiq and Mohammad Abbas in the middle. But once Yasir Shah was gone, Asad Shafiq's, after hitting a century, he also succumbed as he was caught by Mendes of the bowling of Lucknow for 112 with 10 boundaries. A very good knock from Asad Shafiq in a losing cause. Mohammad Abbas was not out on 3, and the Sri Lankans and the Pakistanis were bowled out for 248, and it was a great relief for the Sri Lankans, who had to really work hard yesterday after really smelling victory. But today they did it. They had a 2-0 series victory with a win by 68 runs. So congratulations to the Sri Lankan team. And the Sri Lankan team is also showing that they are really rebuilding right now after the absence of Sangakkara and Jayawardene. The bowling, Lakmal 14 overs, 4 minutes, 1 for 35, bowled well. Gamage did his job well on his debut, 16 overs, 5 minutes, 1 for 29. Rangana had 22.2 overs, 3 minutes, 2 for 57, did a fine job. Fernando 11 overs, 3 minutes, 1 for 21. Dilrowan Perera was the hero, as he was the man who was amongst the wickets, as he bowled 26 overs, 1 minute, 98 runs, and he picked up a 5-wicket bag. Kushal Mendes was bowled 1 over for 7. And the player of the match and the man of the series going to the Sri Lankan opener, Dimuth Karnaratne. And I thought it was the right choice as well, because he really played very well. A player of the match because of his 196 that he hit, which was very crucial for Sri Lanka to get that big lead of 225 odd. And then he was also named player of the series for his amazing consistency. And Sri Lanka seemed to have really found a opening spot. I think they have really found a permanent opening spot for Dimuth Karnaratne now, who has been really doing very well, has been showing a very good consistency as well. So that's it. So Sri Lanka winning the 2-match series, they'll be very happy with this result, especially after suffering the reverses against India in a very miserable manner back home in Sri Lanka. So this was something that would have given them a big morale booster for sure. So that is as far as that match is concerned. Now let's head towards the second T20 match, which was played between Australia and India. It was played at the new ground called the Baraspara. The name of the stand is Barsapara Cricket Stadium in Guwahati. And let's see what happened. So the Aussies, David Warner actually had the luck with the toss. He won the toss and he decided to actually put the Indians in first. And David Warner had given the new cherry to Jason Behrendorff to have a go at. And Jason Behrendorff did not disappoint the captain. The very first over, he picked up a very big wicket, that of Rohit Sharma, with a nice inducker, which Rohit Sharma absolutely had no clue. And he was trapped LBW at the crease by Jason Behrendorff, who was getting a nice angle with his left arm. It was good to see him bowling as well. He was nicely getting the ball to swing, and there was a bit of pace for him as well. And Rohit Sharma was a goner. LBW bowled Behrendorff for 8 with 2 boundaries. After that, the next wicket to go, and that made it 8 for 1. And can you believe it? In the first over itself, Jason Behrendorff had not only dismissed Rohit Sharma, but he also picked up Virat Kohli in the final delivery. Now Virat Kohli was really done in by Jason Behrendorff, as Virat Kohli, the bat turned and he offered a tame return catch to Jason Behrendorff, who held it gleefully, and Jason Behrendorff had done a star turn for Australia as the Indians plunged to 8 for 2. In fact, Rohit Sharma had made 8 runs. He had hit 2 boundaries. The first ball which was bowled was a rank wide delivery outside the off stump. Rohit Sharma carved it for a boundary. Then he also hit 1 more boundary, but then that inducker claimed him, and with the final delivery, Jason Behrendorff gave a dream start to the Aussies as Virat Kohli was caught on board Behrendorff, and I was also told that Virat Kohli collected his first duck in T20 cricket. He was gone for duck, and so that was a real blow for India. India were 8 for 2. But after that, the next wicket to go was Manish Pandey. Once again, Behrendorff coming. I mean, after Behrendorff bowled the first over, it was Nathan Coulter-Nile bowling. But after that, once again, Jason Behrendorff was amongst the wickets. This time, he picked up the wicket of Manish Pandey by getting him caught behind by Tim Paine for 6 of 7 deliveries, 1-4. And then he picked up another big wicket, and that was another big wicket of the opener, Shikhar Dhawan, when Shikhar Dhawan was brilliantly caught by Warner, who actually backpedaled and took a wonderful catch. And again, it was Behrendorff, and Behrendorff, as I said, had shaved the top half of the Indian batting order to reduce them to 27 for 4. And also, David Warner, after looking at the way Behrendorff was bowling, the way he was getting the ball to angle into the batsman, by really putting them on tenterhooks, I would say, and Jason Behrendorff was given a full trundle by David Warner, and he finished with 4 overs, no made, and 4 wickets for 21 runs. What a spell from Jason Behrendorff. In the end, definitely fetched him the man of the match. Why not? And after that, India needed some relief. India needed someone to stand at the crease, and that came in the form of a partnership between Kedar Jadhav and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Kedar Jadhav did his bit, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni slowly, they managed to give a brief resistance as the score reached 60. And Mahendra Singh Dhoni, normally one would have thought that Mahendra Singh Dhoni normally waits for the ball, in the sense he knows the situation. It was only in the 5th over, and one normally sees Mahendra Singh Dhoni just milking the bowling, slowly waiting and probably taking it till the 20th over. But it was not to be. In fact, Mahendra Singh Dhoni had, right from the word go, we saw Mahendra Singh Dhoni attempting to hit the ball, and finally, then because of that, Adam Zampa was bowling, because India were reduced to 27 for 4, and David Warner's captaincy was good. He immediately brought in Adam Zampa, the right arm leggy, and the right arm leggy lured Mahendra Singh Dhoni to a shot which Mahendra Singh Dhoni probably would have not played in the earlier stage of the innings. He did, and he paid the penalty. He was stumped by Paine on the bowling of Zampa for 13 of 16 dealt with 1-4, which made the score 60 for 5 for India at the halfway stage in the 10 overs. And then Jadhav, who was the highest scorer for India, was clean bowled by Zampa for 27 of as many balls, 3 fours and 1 6. And then Hardik Pandya contributed. India still had Hardik Pandya in third, but this time Hardik Pandya could not do much. The Bhuvneshwar Kumar was the next to go. Was a victim of the bowling of Nathan Coulter-Nile for 1, and Hardik Pandya's contribution was 25-23 with 1 6, and he became a victim of the bowling of Marcus Stoinis. After that, it was very quick work. Kuldeep Yadav contributed 16 of 19 with 1 boundary. Bumrah was run out for 7 of 9 deliveries, 1-4. Yuzvendra Chahal was not out on 3, and the Indians, due to the super strikes by Jason Behrendorff, the left arm swing bowler from left arm pace and swing bowler, really were kept to 118. They were bowled out for 118, and what a spell from Jason Behrendorff, which was the key factor in Australia actually winning this match. And he was rightly named man of the match. 4 for 21 for Jason Behrendorff. Nathan Coulter-Nile 1 for 23. Andy Tye 4 overs 1 for 30. Adam Zampa did his bit. He got an advantage of the cushion of the wickets falling. 4 overs 2 for 19, and Stoinis 4 overs 1 for 20. Now Australia were given a target of 119 runs to win from 20 overs, but the start was not good at all. In fact, Jasprit Bumrah had the wicket of David Warner by getting him caught by Virat Kohli for 2, and Aaron Finch was also back into the pavilion, caught by Kohli with the ball of Kumar, and suddenly we saw the Aussies score read 13 for 2 at that stage, and one probably thought that Indian bowlers will really capitalize on that, but Moises Henriques and Travis Head made sure that that such a thing never happened, as they not only were at the crease, but even though they had a lot of time and a lot of overs to spare, what they adopted was an aggressive attitude against the Indian bowlers, especially Moises Henriques and Travis Head probably targeted Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal to such an extent. They gave good respect to Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, but when it came to Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal, they took full toll of it by hitting them for 4s and 6s, especially Moises Enriquez, who really carted them all across the park as they forced Kuldeep Yadav to bowl 4 overs for 46 runs. Yuzvendra Chahal leaked 29 of his 3.3 overs, and in the process, from 13 for 2, Enriquez and Travis said ensured an Australian victory, and they got the victory for Australia in the 16th over to level the T20 series 1-1, with Moises Enriquez's contribution being an unbeaten 62 of 46 deliveries with 4 fours and an equal number of 6s, and Travis Head was not out on 48 of 34 deliveries, 5 fours and 1 6, a very wonderful win, and I would say a very good win for the Aussies to go to square the T20 series. So the man of the match going to Jason Behrendorff, there was absolutely no doubt about it that Jason Behrendorff was my man of the match also. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, amidst all this, look at the bowling analysis from Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. He bowled 3 overs in a very miserly manner, 9 runs and 1 wicket. Bumrah 3 overs, 1 for 25. Hardik Pandya 2 overs for 13. Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal, as I said, their figures were ruined by Moises Enriquez and Travis Head. So now the final T20 which should be coming up should be a real beauty, as whichever team wins the final T20 takes the match. But also a word about Jason Behrendorff. He really looked a very, very tough customer to deal with, as he was getting the ball to nicely angle in with that left arm bowler's angle, that you know how a left armer actually gets the angle to actually get the ball past the bat, and how the left arm pace bowler swings the deliveries. And really India would have I think India would have a real battle at the hands of Jason Behrendorff once again in the final T20, because he really proved to be a sort of a real thorn for India today. Well, and probably this is the beginning of a wonderful test career, wonderful international career for Jason Behrendorff. Really looks very effective. Well, other than that, I have nothing else to share. It's about time for me to say good night to you all while leaving this cricket show, and promising to come back with my usual Cricket Happenings show tomorrow. Until then, good night.